My family, have you ever found yourself lying awake at night asking God, why me? Have you ever walked through a season so heavy, so painful it made you question if he was even listening? You look around and it feels like everyone else is moving forward, smiling, celebrating, living, while you're stuck in a silent storm no one else can see. Maybe you've been abandoned. Maybe you've lost something or someone you never thought you could live without. Maybe doors keep slamming in your face, and all you're left with is disappointment and delay. But hear me when I say this, that pain you're carrying, it's not random, it's not wasted, and it's definitely not a sign that God has turned his back on you. In fact, what if I told you that pain is the very proof that you've been marked for something greater? What if your rejection is God's redirection? What if your delays are God's way of protecting what you're not ready to handle yet? What if your loneliness is God's invitation to come closer, to learn his voice before you hear applause? You see, the enemy wants you to believe your pain is the end of your story, but God, he uses pain as a setup, a shaping, a calling. When he's preparing someone for purpose, he doesn't make them comfortable, he makes them ready. So if you've been hurting, don't check out, don't give up. You might just be standing at the edge of your assignment. And this pain might be the sign that you've been chosen for something far bigger than you ever imagined. Purpose through pain. My family, I want you to understand something today that could change how you see every storm you've ever walked through. God does not waste pain. Ever. The very thing that's been breaking your heart, wearing you down, making you question your strength, it might be the exact thing God is using to build you for something greater. There is, what? My family, I want you to understand something today that you might not understand. When God is getting ready to use someone in a mighty way, he doesn't always lead them to comfort first. He leads them through pain, not because he's cruel, but because he's carving out of them the kind of strength that can carry the assignment. He knows what lies ahead, and he's more interested in preparing your soul than preserving your comfort. Look at Joseph, a young man with dreams straight from heaven. Dreams of leadership, of greatness, of being used by God. But before he ever touched a throne in Egypt, he was betrayed by his own brothers, sold as a slave, falsely accused, locked in a prison. That pain could have broken him, but it shaped him. It stripped away pride, it built endurance, and it positioned him exactly where he needed to be, because when the time came, he wasn't just a dreamer anymore. He was a man of wisdom, humility, and strength, and God used him to save a nation. Think about Paul, a man who was on fire for God, spreading the gospel across nations. But with that calling came beatings, shipwrecks, imprisonment, and constant persecution. Paul didn't hide his pain. He wrote about it. He testified through it. And in doing so, he revealed that even in weakness, God's power is made perfect. Paul's pain didn't disqualify him. It confirmed him. And then there's Jesus, our Savior, the one without sin, the one with all power. And yet, he didn't skip pain. He walked straight into it, mocked, rejected, tortured, crucified. And in that pain, in that suffering, came the greatest purpose the world has ever known: salvation for all who believe. So when you feel like your suffering is too much, remember, you're not alone, you're not forgotten, and you're not being punished. You may actually be in training. You may be on the very path that leads to your purpose, because if God allowed it, he will use it. Not one tear, not one heartbreak, not one silent night is being ignored. He sees it all. And he is shaping something in you that cannot be built in easy seasons. You're not broken. You're being built. You're not being buried. You're being planted. And in due time, that seed of pain will bloom into something beautiful, not just for you, but for those who are watching you stand, endure, and rise. So hold on, my family. Don't let the enemy convince you that this pain means you're forgotten. It may just mean you've been chosen. The pain of rejection. My family, let's talk about something that cuts deep: rejection. That feeling of being left out, overlooked, dismissed, or pushed away. It's not just uncomfortable, it's painful. It messes with your self-worth. It makes you question your place. It makes you wonder if you're not good enough. But what if I told you rejection isn't always a curse? What if it's a sign you've been set apart by God for something they couldn't see? Sometimes the very people you thought would support you will be the ones who walk away first. The ones you loved the most will be the ones who hurt you the deepest. But here's the truth. Not everyone can go where God is taking you. And so he allows the separation before the elevation, the rejection before the recognition. Think about Joseph. This young man had a dream straight from heaven, and he was excited about it. He shared it with his brothers, thinking they would celebrate. Instead, they hated him for it. They plotted against him. They stripped him of his coat. They threw him in a pit. Then they sold him like he was worthless. Imagine the pain Joseph must have felt, betrayed by his own blood, left behind, rejected. And yet, it was that very rejection that put him on the road to his destiny. If his brothers hadn't sold him, he never would have ended up in Egypt. If he never went to Egypt, he wouldn't have been positioned in Pharaoh's court. And if he wasn't in Pharaoh's court, he wouldn't have become the man God used to save an entire nation during famine, including the very brothers who betrayed him. You see, rejection was the setup. What looked like the end was the beginning. God took what was meant for evil and turned it into good. So maybe right now, you're feeling unwanted. Maybe people have walked away from you. Maybe you've been overlooked, passed up, pushed out. It hurts. I won't lie to you. It hurts. But don't let that pain fool you into thinking God is done with you. No, no. God is starting with you. He is removing the distractions. He is cutting off attachments that can't walk with you into your next. He's not trying to isolate you to break you. He's isolating you to reveal you. Rejection doesn't mean you're less than. It might just mean you're too much for the room you were in. Not in arrogance, but in calling. Your spirit disturbed what was comfortable. Your anointing made the average uneasy. You didn't fit because you weren't supposed to. God didn't call you to blend in. He called you to stand out. He didn't choose you to follow the crowd. He chose you to lead it. So if you've been rejected, don't chase after what left. Don't beg to be accepted by people who couldn't see your worth. Let them go. Let the season go. Because God is about to take you somewhere their presence would have poisoned. Just like Joseph, your rejection might be the very vehicle that drives you into divine favor. You don't need everyone to agree with your calling. You just need to trust the one who gave it to you. Keep walking, my family, because when it's God doing the elevating, no one can stop it. And the same mouths that once said, "You'll never make it," might just be the ones asking you for help one day. That's the power of divine rejection. It's the beginning of redirection. The pain of delay. My family, let's talk about a pain that doesn't scream. It just lingers. A pain that doesn't come all at once, but slowly eats away at your hope. The pain of delay. It's the ache that builds when you've been praying, believing, waiting, and still nothing's moving. The doors stay shut. The silence gets louder. The promises feel postponed. And you start to wonder, did I miss it? Did I do something wrong? Has God forgotten me? But what if I told you delay is not denial, that God's silence isn't his absence, it's his strategy? Because sometimes before God gives you the promise, he has to get you ready to carry it. He's more concerned with who you're becoming than what you're receiving. Look at David. He was just a shepherd boy tending sheep in the fields when God sent the prophet Samuel to anoint him as king. Imagine that moment. Oil poured over his head, a divine calling declared. But right after that, he didn't walk into a palace. He went back to the field, back to the sheep, back to obscurity. And then things got even harder. He faced giants. He ran from enemies. He hid in caves. And all the while he carried the knowledge that he was called to be king, yet he was stuck, waiting, running, surviving. Years passed. Can you imagine the confusion, the frustration? God, you chose me, but why does it feel like nothing's happening? But in those hidden years, God was training David, teaching him how to lead, how to fight, how to pray, how to trust. Because it's one thing to be anointed, it's another to be ready. And when the time finally came, David didn't just wear the crown, he carried the heart of a king. So maybe you feel like David right now. You know you're called. You know there's something more. But you're stuck in the middle. You've seen the oil, but not the throne. The promise, but not the fulfillment. And it's painful watching others move ahead, wondering when it's your turn. But hear me, my family. Just because it's taking longer than you expected doesn't mean it's over. God isn't punishing you. He's preparing you. He's building spiritual muscle. He's developing character. He's positioning you for longevity, not just a moment. Some promises are too heavy to place in unprepared hands. So the delay, it's protection. It's process. It's God saying, I love you too much to give you something that would crush you if you're not ready. And trust me, when God says it's time, no man, no demon, no delay can stand in the way. He will open doors no one can shut. He will accelerate what felt stagnant. He will honor every tear you cried in the waiting. So don't give up and delay. Don't walk away from the field. Your time is coming. Your preparation is not in vain. And when the promise comes, it will be worth every second you waited. God doesn't just fulfill his word. He perfects the timing. The pain of loneliness. My family, let's speak about one of the most silent but soul-deep struggles many of us carry. Loneliness. That feeling of being unseen, unheard, forgotten. Even when surrounded by people, it's more than just being alone. It's feeling like no one understands your pain, your calling, your walk. And if you've been in that place, that quiet, aching isolation, I want you to know this: you're not cursed. You might just be called, because sometimes God will pull you away from the crowd, not to punish you, but to prepare you. Sometimes he'll remove the noise so you can finally hear his voice clearly. Sometimes the loneliness is less about being forgotten and more about being chosen. Look at Jesus. Before he ever preached to the crowds, before he ever healed the sick, before he walked on water or carried the cross, he was led into the wilderness, alone, isolated. 40 days and nights with no comfort, no applause, no distractions, just him and the Father. And the enemy tried to use that moment of isolation to break him, but God used it to build him. In that lonely place, Jesus was refined, strengthened, tested, proven. It was in that quiet wilderness where he won battles in private that would later show up in public power. You see, the wilderness isn't a punishment. It's a classroom. And loneliness can be a holy space when you let God meet you there. Maybe that's where you are right now. Maybe people have distanced themselves. Maybe relationships have shifted. Maybe you walk through life feeling like no one sees your heart, your burden, your purpose. But I want to remind you, God sees. And He may have allowed this season of solitude to separate you from distractions that were drowning out your destiny. Because here's the truth. Some revelations only come in isolation. Some of the most powerful words you'll ever hear from God won't be in a church service. They'll be in the quiet of your room, with tears on your pillow and hands lifted in surrender. Some of the strongest versions of yourself will be formed when it's just you and God and nothing else is holding you together but His presence. Don't despise the lonely seasons. Embrace them. They are sacred. They are where God begins to speak clearly. They are where He reminds you that your validation doesn't come from people. It comes from Him. And sometimes before He trusts you to lead others, He makes sure you're okay with walking alone. So if the enemy is whispering lies in your loneliness, telling you you're forgotten, telling you you're not enough, telling you that no one cares, shut that voice down. Because the same God who met Jesus in the wilderness, who whispered strength into Him, who sent angels to minister to Him, that same God is with you now. He hasn't abandoned you. He's developing you. And soon enough, what you gain in the lonely place, wisdom, depth, strength, clarity, will prepare you to walk boldly into what's next. The pain of loneliness may be real, but so is the purpose hiding inside it. Earmarked by God. My family, if you felt rejected, delayed, or deeply alone, I need you to understand something right now. You are not cursed. You're not forgotten. You're not broken beyond repair. You are marked by God. That pain you've been carrying, it isn't just emotional noise. It's spiritual evidence. You've been chosen. And with that choosing comes a process that doesn't always feel beautiful, but it is always purposeful. Think about it. The pain of rejection, delay, and loneliness, they all carry the fingerprints of divine preparation. They may feel different on the surface, but at the root they're all pointing to the same truth. God is doing something in you that's too important to rush, too powerful to share with just anyone, and too precious to waste on shallow foundations. Rejection, that wasn't people turning their backs on you. That was God clearing the room. He removed who didn't belong so He could reveal who He is. He knew what they didn't, that your calling is bigger than their understanding. You weren't overlooked, you were protected. Delay, that wasn't time wasted, it was time invested. God knew you needed to grow into the promise before you stepped into it. He wasn't holding you back, He was holding you together. And in the waiting, He was sharpening your discernment, maturing your character, building your faith. Because when the door opens, He doesn't want you to just walk through it. He wants you to last on the other side. And that loneliness, that quiet season where it felt like everyone disappeared, it wasn't abandonment, it was intimacy. God pulled you close, away from the noise, to whisper things into your spirit that you never would have heard in a crowd. He wasn't trying to punish you. He was drawing you deeper. You see, these three pains are not random. They are not coincidences. They are the markings of someone who has been set apart by God. These are the experiences of the called, the chosen, the ones who carry something eternal inside of them. And it's no wonder the enemy has fought you so hard. He sees the oil on your life. He sees the potential. He knows you're dangerous when you walk in your purpose. So don't misread your season. Don't interpret silence as abandonment. Don't let pain lie to you. You're not being destroyed, you're being developed. You're not being punished, you're being positioned. You are in the hands of the potter, and he is molding you into a vessel fit for his glory. The pain you're experiencing right now is not the end of your story. It's the evidence that your next chapter is going to be powerful. People who aren't marked don't get tested like this. People without purpose don't feel this kind of pressure. So if you're going through it, that should tell you something. Heaven sees you, hell fears you, and God is preparing to use you. You are marked by God. And what's coming is greater than anything you've lost, anything you've cried over, and anything the enemy tried to steal. Stay planted. Stay faithful. Stay open. You're not being overlooked. You're being anointed. And your purpose, it's coming with fire. My family, before you go, I want to ask you something real. Out of everything we talked about today, the pain of rejection, the pain of delay, the pain of loneliness, which one are you walking through right now? What has God been showing you through it? Maybe you've been feeling like you're at the end of yourself, but deep down you know he's doing something. I want you to take a moment and drop your story in the comments. Don't be afraid to speak. Your voice could be the confirmation someone else needs. This is a space for real people with real pain and real purpose. And listen, if this message stirred something in your spirit, if it made you breathe a little deeper, if it felt like it was meant just for you, don't scroll past. Don't let this moment slip by. Subscribe right now. Not for me, for you. Because this channel, it isn't for the crowd. It's for the called. It's for the ones who've been through fire and still choose faith. For the ones who know God's not done with them yet. You've been marked, set apart, and prepared, and there's more ahead for you than behind you. So join this community of faith walkers, purpose seekers, and warriors in the making. We're not here to play church. We're here to rise up and walk boldly in what God has placed inside of us. So go ahead, comment below, subscribe, and let's walk this narrow road together. Because if you're still breathing, God's still building. And your pain, it has a purpose.